And joining us now, Madison, hip hop legend, Rob Dees. How you doing, sir?
Oh my goodness. When I hear the word legend, I get so nervous.
Does that make you feel old?
It makes
Like,
me feel
like
very
I'm not,
old.
I can't be legendary yet. I'm still going, man.
Right. Look, you're an icon. Hold on, man. That just means I'm old. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, Madison, hip hop up and comer, Rob Dees is joining us.
Honored to
uh,
be here.
yeah. No, thanks for the time. We're going to talk about something very, very cool, very exciting. First, I just want to get an update from you. How are you doing? Man? How are you feeling? Like, folks maybe know you had a bit of a health scare not too long ago.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm upright, so I'm all right. Had a had a heart attack in November. Open heart surgery,
The whole
single
thing.
bypass, the whole thing. So, um, blessed to be here and continue to do the work now.
Yeah, you're looking good, man. How long did it take you to get back up on the stage?
It took me probably around 3 or 4 months before I actually kind of got back on stage.
Hmm.
Um, I've had several shows in the last couple of months, so yeah, probably the last 3 months or so.
And has that experience changed your outlook on the art, on the work, on life?
Um, well, I'll say this: my age already was starting to prove itself on stage. Like I'm not jumping around doing a whole bunch of stuff no more. I do mostly jazz and spoken word now.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
But yeah, nah, man. It's really kind of interesting because it's really made me more um intentional, I
Mm,
guess if you want to say for a
mm-hmm.
better words, of the presentation. The fact, like I said, man, I'm just blessed to be here. So
Right.
if somebody can get something through something that I say on stage, then that's the purpose. So
Beautiful. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Now, the reason we're talking to you is it was just announced this week that you're actually that the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra is bringing hip hop to concerts on the square this summer, and hip hop in the person of Rob Dees. You're actually performing with the chamber orchestra, and you're kind of like laughing as I say that out loud. Like, is that something you ever thought you would do?
man, not in a million years, man. It's funny because I posted on social media and I was talking, I've sent a message to my mom, who's deceased, obviously, but like she would always tell me, you're going to play on stages that you never imagined. And
Mm,
I never imagined in my own backyard would be one of those stages because I never
hmm.
expected to be playing with an orchestra.
Yeah.
So,
How,
yeah.
how did it come about? Did they approach you? Uh,
Yeah, yeah, they approached us, myself and the Urban Community Arts Network, about
mm,
the collaboration. They were just saying, like, it's part of the process of moving forward is to be able to make sure that everyone is included, and they really wanted to be intentional about that. So it was an honor when they asked me. Then I have the health scare, and all of a sudden I'm getting, uh, they're, are you going to be okay to do it? And yeah, I'm like,
so
yeah,
you were
man.
already in talks with this like last fall?
Yeah, yeah. This,
Oh, okay, okay.
the conversation started last fall, and I just obviously didn't want to reveal it until it was revealed
Of
properly.
course, of
So,
course, of course.
and
Yeah.
then, like I said, the health scare happened, and there was kind of some, you know,
Some
concern,
question. Yeah.
some questions. So, and it's funny because some of the people from the orchestra actually came to my first show at the High Noon back, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, he's fine." So I was like, "Yeah,
He still
I
got it. He's good.
he
He's
still
good.
got it. He's good." So,
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned UCAN. The Urban Community Arts Network is like it's the collaboration is really between the Chamber Orchestra and UCAN, right? Like they're kind of a co-sponsoring this whole
right,
situation.
right.
What was the when WCO approached UCAN? What was their you, you talked about inclusivity, right? And like, what was kind of their vision, or why did they even want to approach UCAN?
Um, well, I think that at least for me, UCAN has always tried to be about the culture when I talk about hip hop and really trying to be that. And I think that the work that we've done with Mad Lit and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
I think it made the orchestra aware that we are trying to be authentic about doing the work of building culture and community. So I think it was a kind of an easy ask. And once they asked, Karen and everybody was like, are you kidding? Of course you're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was pretty much it.
And I will say to give some credit to WCO, they have been pretty intentional these past 2 years about broadening the scope. You think chamber music, that's going to be a pretty white with a hard H space, right? But they've been doing the work a little bit. They've got this harmony and what's it called, the harmony in black, musical landscapes in color. They had a black composer in residence for a couple of years. Like,
Yeah.
they've been actually being really intentional about that, right? About inviting more folks into that sort of chamber music space.
Look, I'm gonna say it like this: if you bring in Patrice Rushen, you kind of got to be on it. So I tip my hat to the orchestra for that, definitely, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about what you're actually going to be doing with them. What's the actual performance going to look like?
So I'm doing, I believe I'm doing 2 to 3 pieces. Um, and one of them is a song from the new project, from the Black Eyeball project. And then one song is I'm actually gonna do a freestyle based off of crowd suggestions.
Okay.
I composed some music that I had the orchestra kind of transcribe, so they're gonna play the beat in the background, and then we'll do live freestyle presentation on the spot. So that's pretty much it.
That's cool. So the chamber orchestra basically rearranged a beat that you created for the orchestra to actually play.
Yeah, big
That
shout
is
out,
cool.
big shout out to Leo for Stanley. He's actually the one
Mm.
doing the composition creation for the
Okay.
songs.
Okay.
Um, so it's kind of cool, man. And for me, I'm shocked because I actually made the beats. So it's like to hear an orchestra play a beat that I made is kind of like whoa.
Have
So
you have you had a chance to hear that in rehearsal or anything yet?
I have not. Rehearsal going to start in a couple weeks. So
Okay.
um,
Okay.
yeah.
And when is the performance?
The actual performance is July 1st.
All right, which is that the Wednesday, and
That's a
that's
Wednesday night for Concert on the Square. Yeah.
part of their concerts on the Square series, which is always a fun time, right? It's always like people get their blankets out early and get their spot on the square, and it's always, uh, it's just a community gathering around music, right?
I hope so. I hope my people don't mind getting on no blankets and chill it out, man. It's uh it's cool though.
Are you expecting? Are you hoping to kind of bring a new, like, your audience over to the chamber orchestra, and or expose your music to the chamber orchestra's usual audience, which is probably not your normal audience? Or how much overlap are you hoping to get there that night?
I mean, at least for me as an artist, the hope is that, true authentic music breaks barriers and
Mm,
like for example those demographics that you just talked about, the
hmm.
hope is that someone gets something out of my presentation that they could take with them, or for a person who's never been exposed to hip hop, you know for them to get a chance to hear it. It's like, for example, I played at Jazz at Five one year, and there was
Mm.
an older lady, and she ended up walking up to me after the show, and it's funny because when she walked off with her daughter or whatever, she's like, he speaks so well. And for me, it was stereotypical, but at the same time, it's like, I must have did something right. You dig? So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I hear it. That's sort of a double-handed, sort of backhanded
I,
compliment to a black man, right?
I'm just saying, but
Yep.
yeah, man. But at the same time, if my example can open up somebody else's thought process
Mm,
on the general side, like for example, it is hip hop, and I take it as a very serious honor to break that ground because
yeah.
we don't. My people don't normally come to Cars on the Square. I don't, not that I know of. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
Hmm.
if it provides the opportunity for us to come and be exposed to a different setting in a different room, then
Yeah.
so be it. And I take that responsibility very, very seriously. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's also the word you mentioned a few times is collaboration, right? It's like different types of artists coming together to create a new kind of art that hasn't happened in Madison before.
yeah, man, and that's the hope, and that's one of the things I'm very grateful for the chamber orchestra, is that there was no hesitation as far as the content that I was choosing. They didn't they
Oh.
didn't they didn't question. They said, "What do you think? What do you want to do?" So it,
Hmm.
it is a true collaboration. Like even when I
Yeah.
brought up the idea of doing a free, well, Joe from WCL, like I said, he came to the show and saw me freestyle, and that kind of brought up the conversation of freestyling to do it
Hmm.
with the orchestra. So, like I said, um, it's this is true collaboration,
Yeah, I love it.
and it's cool with me. So,
That is really cool. I want to back out a little bit and ask about sort of um, how do you feel about the state of hip hop in Madison right now? Is things good? Things gonna be better?
um, of course, things can be better. You know, like, are we having this conversation? Are we going to have an entire conversation, or is this a short version?
I got nothing but time, man.
um, you know, if you want me to keep it 100 with you, everybody
Yeah.
wants to play nice in the sandbox till
Hmm.
someone has a handful of sand.
Mm.
And that's kind of the way that the hip hop scene is in Madison, meaning like everybody, at least in my opinion, people say they want to be supportive and inclusive, but sometimes I feel like the actions don't align with the spoken sentiments.
Are you talking about like venues,
Venues,
business?
the city in general,
Mm.
um, it's always a challenge, even in the presentation or the idea of bringing other voices to a table, you
Mm.
know, and to truly be intentional about letting everyone have a voice. I feel like Madison does a great job of presenting itself as a progressive town, but there's some work that definitely needs to be done to really get to that progression.
Yeah, yeah, but that's been a recurring theme.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not just about hip hop, but that's one manifestation of that whole thing, right?
but it's funny you say that because the humanities are a reflection of life. So therefore, you know, hip hop is right on the front lines of sharing, you know, the sentiments and the voices of the people. So
Yeah.
why muffle that voice, or why only try to, you know, sometimes I feel like the town almost whitewashes what they want to be at the forefront, or it's a hand-picked thing. And please understand, I'm probably one of the people that's benefited the most from being hand-picked. But at the same time, there are so many more people that have voices that need to be heard. And I feel like sometimes the town definitely misses the mark.
That is really interesting because it is a thing, and this is it could be a much longer conversation. But outside of hip hop, like there's it's like there's been at least before we started talking, like there were like if you wanted if any media back in like 2013 14, you know, when the whole race to equity report came out, if any media outlet wanted to talk to a black community, there were like three guys that they were allowed to talk or that they wanted to talk to. There's like two or three guys who were like the ambassadors of, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. I don't want to name
Right,
names,
right,
but that became the like the handpicked ambassadors for the black community. They didn't want to be, they didn't ask to be necessarily, but they're like
right.
these are the acceptable black people. These are the that we can talk to, and that doesn't say anything about those guys. It's kind of like we white people decide who the black people that we're going to listen to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man, and it's unfortunate to say it, but it's a reality, man. There's a
Yeah.
savior complex in this town where,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, for example, I mean, we're not doing Mad Lit this year, you know, and I think that's very painful because I think we did a lot of work to make a more inclusive and diverse downtown.
Yeah.
Um, and it's unfortunate that we weren't able to get the support to continue to carry out the mission. So, but
And what's I mean, that Bad Lit being were they Saturday night?
Friday nights.
Friday night concerts around State Street,
Yes.
over in this sort of over the summer. And so what is it a funding thing or is it a
Yeah.
city no longer supporting it kind of thing or what?
Yeah. It was definitely a funny thing. I mean,
Mm.
there were conversations about, you know, um, I guess competitive funding or things of that nature and make sure it's a fair process or whatever. But for me, it was kind of frustrating because I'm like, we didn't really have any competition. So now why are we talking about competitive funding now? You know, so
Where did this
um,
competition come from
where
exactly?
did this competition come from? So, you
Yeah.
know, and like I said, for me, you know, it goes back to this conversation that we're having right now. You know, like it goes back to hip hop or Well, number one, hip hop is a code word for black folks, black and brown folks. Let's just be honest. So, there's always an asterisk when it comes to Madison's involvement with hip hop. It's one or two ways. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Are there still? I feel kind of dumb not knowing this, but are there still venues who explicitly just will not do hip hop shows, or like they say out loud, "We're not doing hip hop"?
no, I can't sit here and go on record and say that X amount of venues have said that, but I
That
would
used to be
say,
like the thing, right? Like because
right.
the crowds are rowdy, supposedly, whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, but we were able to kind of quelch that when we did
Hmm.
a study on,
Yep.
violent incidents per genre of music, and hip hop was not in the top three. So
Right.
why is it so sensationalized in the media? But that's a whole different conversation. Like I said, we could be here forever talking about this.
Yeah.
But
We'll
um,
have a whole new like 8 episode podcast series just with me and you
right,
breaking
right,
all this down. But you're right. But yeah, it's exactly it. Hip hop is like you said, a code word, right, for
yeah,
black music or whatever, or black people gathered together, which is somehow seen as threatening,
right.
right?
It's unfortunate, but like to me, like there's a very for Madison to be so liberal, there's a very conservative undertone that nobody
Yeah.
really wants to talk about. And
Yeah.
and it comes out in things and interactions with people. Like for example, folks of color don't necessarily have the easiest route in a town that really claims that it's for everyone. So anyway,
Yeah. Right.
I'll be nice.
That's right. Very very nice hip hop up and comer Rob D's. But we're talking about in everything we're talking about in this sort of the second half of this conversation is those barriers that you're trying to kind of break down with these kind of collaborations, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's why, again, that's why I'm very honored that to get picked in this process to kind of carry that or take on that challenge of breaking down those barriers through the
Yeah.
example of who I am, or
Right.
or the
Right.
music that I create. Um, like I said, if I could change the 85-year-old white lady, to think about stuff, then I feel like I'm doing my job. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, it's going to be July 1st, like 7 p.m. Is that right? Like
yes.
something like that, 7 p.m. July 1st on the Capitol Square. Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra with Rob D's doing hip hop chamber music. It's going to be great. I think I'll definitely be there. Thank you, man. It's great talking to you, and glad you're still around. Glad you're back on your feet and doing great.
Better to be seen than viewed, brother.
All right, all right. Thanks, Rob. We'll
Peace.
be back. Ready for this?